Hello and welcome to today's video. So today I'm with my friend Rob and we are on a road trip. I'm hoping to pick up one of the biggest vintage penguin collections I've ever purchased. So we set off at 6 a.m. We're heading to Manchester, so it's an epic road trip. This is just our first port of call, services number one. But I'm really excited about this collection and I can't wait to, well, hopefully pick it up. So sit back, relax and let's get to it. So here we are at our first proper pit stop. We're going to stop here for breakfast. This is the rather amazing Gloucester services. And here we are. This is by far the best services in Britain. Absolutely fantastic. When I'm on a road trip and I go past Gloucester, I always try and stop here because it's just amazing. Just look at this. You just don't see this in your regular service station. Just incredible. Anyway, let's get breakfast. You could say a hearty bookfinder's breakfast. That's what we've both got here. I got the Westmoreland breakfast, and my friend Rob here has got the Gloucestershire breakfast. Good stuff. Say hello, Rob.
Hi.
Right, so we've had breakfast. I'm feeling a lot better for that, as I think are you, Rob. So we tried to record actually on the road, but sadly the microphones didn't really work. I think these ones work over Bluetooth, so we had a little issue. So we thought we'd just record our initial thoughts here. So we're in the middle of a journey from Plymouth to Manchester. It's 4 3/4 hours on the road. And we're going to pick up a collection from a chap called Matt. Now Matt Hill, in fact, is his last name. He's a science fiction author by trade, and the collection of vintage penguins is actually his granddad's. Now, his granddad is in his mid-80s, and the time has come to move the collection on. And the collection's actually been stored over in France for several years, but is now just in a storage compartment in Manchester. And Matt contacted me about 6 or 7 weeks ago and said, "Jules, are you interested in any of these?" And I said, "Yeah, I definitely am, but I'd be interested in more in the numbers 1,000 to 3,200 rather than the early, more valuable books, the first, 500 or 1,000. So I'm coming up today to look at and hopefully buy the second 1,000 penguins. Matt's also pulled out for me some Forces Book Club that I was after, an odd Prisoner of War ones, some Egyptian editions, and then there's a little run of Ariel, first edition, and reprints of the book Ariel, the first penguin, of which I've got quite a collection anyway, but I'm going to enhance that with my own collection to hopefully expand that a bit. And I'm going to look at some bits of early Penguin Collectors Society memorabilia and other bits of just general penguin memorabilia and merchandise, which I may or may not have catalogues and things like that. So that's what I mainly look at. But two issues which we don't know yet until we get there is, one, is it all going to fit in the car? And what condition the books are in. I'm sure they're going to be absolutely fine, but I'm going to have to try and squeeze them in the car. If I can't do it in this one trip, then I've got to come up again on Friday to get it sorted then. And the second thing is, what about the rest of it? Now, a lot of it I'd just be doubling up, but if Matt offers it to me at a really cheap price, well, it might be difficult to say no. So well, we'll just have to see on that one. But until we actually now rock up at the storage depot and have a look at it, well, there's not a lot else to say, but I'm still very excited and very optimistic that it's going to be, well, by far the best penguin collection I've ever bought in my life. So won't be long now. So here we are on the road approaching Manchester. It wasn't actually Manchester, it was Glossop, which is sort of southeast Manchester, and there is Matt, and he had the first trolley full of boxes ready for me, and we started Jenga style packing those into the car. And I think we could probably see we could just about squeeze it all in with a bit of jiggery pokery, but I wasn't 100% sure that my car was actually going to be able to take the weight. So rather than risk it, in the end we decided on doing it in 2 batches and just having sort of one layer of boxes with just a few on top, rather than squeezing it right in to try and get the whole lot done in one. As much as that would have been great, to not have to make a second trip. It just wasn't worth the risk. So it's simple as that, really. Yes, quite easy to overfill a car, isn't it? And we decided against it in the end. And here is the storage container, still very full, as you can see at this point. We've had to come back and put some stuff back in, and there's like the first 1,000 pelicans are in there, and they take up an awful lot of boxes. As expected, there was no way in a million years that we were going to be able to get the whole lot in the one car. It was just going to be impossible. So we've decided to make it 2 trips, which is always the backup option. So I shall be coming up again with my son Sam on Friday. However, tomorrow, I'm very much, because it's a day off work, I'm very much looking forward to unloading the car and getting out the first sort of half of the goodies. It's absolutely fantastic. An amazing collection. Matt was one of the nicest guys you could possibly meet, and well, I can't wait to get stuck in and get these boxes, well, unboxed. Till then. So here we are. This is just the start of a handful of boxes. And this is what my life is going to be like for the next few days. So all the boxes were marked. There's Penguin 2305 to 2134. So that's what I'm unpacking here now. And I'm just putting them into their respective 1,000 piles. So these are all 2-1 odd. That's the job. So it's literally just the initial sort out before I get into it in sort of detail. And obviously there's B format stuff in here as well. And some of them are actually doubled up. There's more than one copy of certain books. But the main thing is they're not too badly sorted. I believe that these have literally come off the shelf in France and been boxed up in order. So that's going to make my job much easier. So, yeah, so that's 2,100 up. This is now 2,000 to 2,099. So, and there will be lots and lots in here, of course, that I haven't got. But I've got a whole carload, and I've got to go back and get another carload on Friday. So there's an awful lot in here to get processed. But it's okay. I have a plan. So basically unload everything today and get them into the respective hundreds, and then have everything ready for Friday so I can finish off. So as you can see, it's going to be quite the job. But if you're a book lover, this isn't a job. This is just absolute heaven. There's another box. Now, if the boxes are in pretty nice condition, which like this one is, for example, I'm actually going to keep this one because it might be handy moving some of them around. Some of the boxes, they've got these handles on the side there, which have actually ended up getting a bit ripped. So those ones I'm going to have to get rid of. But let's clear the decks and open up the next box. Okay, so this is Penguins 1951 to 2052. Now, obviously, all of these books are going to have to go through my rigorous cleaning process, which in itself is going to be quite the task, because I want to obviously go through, work out which ones I haven't got, which ones are going to be upgrading still, that sort of thing. So, and I'm conscious that we do have a Penguin Collectors show in September. So if I have got any left or spare, I'm going to try and have them ready for that show at the earliest, or at the latest, I should say. But there may be a chance I can get these all processed way before then, and maybe get them offered out to other collectors at that point. So these are all ones which are just in the 1900s. Now, I noticed that some of the books, and I've had a little look at this, some of the books I've had a bit of tape applied to the bottom of the spines. But thankfully, in fact, there's like one here, for example. Thankfully, the tape is so old because it was, I don't know when they were put on, perhaps in the 70s, that on the whole, the tape's coming off all right. So that tape has come off, so it's going to leave a tape residue mark, but it's better than that old bit of crumbly tape on there. So not all of them by any means, but some of them have got tape on. So, I'll clean these up because I have, as you know, got quite high standards. So that's always a good one. Penguin 2020, the gold rimmed spectacles. So if they're not up to scratch for me, then I shall not be keeping them. But on the whole, I think we're going to be doing absolutely fine. The thing is, on the second and third thousands, I only need about 400 from each thousand to finish it. So there will be, I suspect, I'm going to have about 1,200 approximately doubles from this collection, which obviously I shall offer out to other collectors. There's Penguin number 2000. So I can see right from the back, that's much better than my own one. Nice clear spine on that one. And really pleased to see a bit of science fiction in here as well. I know some of the later stuff is missing, sadly, but there is still a decent wedge of it in here. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to talk you through unpacking all the boxes, but I am going to film it, and we'll do a bit of a time lapse as I get them in and fill the table up. Okay, so while we do a bit of unpacking, I did fire a few questions off to Matt's granddad. Alan Swale is his name, and Alan was one of the very earliest members of the Penguin Collectors Society back in the early 1970s. I think he was member number 43, and obviously a big early collector of penguins. So I sent off a few questions, which Alan replied, and he said basically a video about his life's work would have to cover much material subject to the Official Secrets Act. So I presume we're only talking about collecting books. Well, he's absolutely right. Just your book collection, Alan. So he said he probably started collecting sometime in the 1970s. I think it was something to do with my late wife's interest in old playing cards, which involved much time visiting junk shops. As a matter of interest, certainly later on, I noted date and place purchased inside the back cover. In pencil, I hasten to add. So, yeah, as I've already cleaned up the first sort of 100 of Alan's books, and many of them have got like, the bookshop or the town where they were actually purchased and what date. And the earliest I think I found like 72 or 73. He said, a little anecdote, I should say, talking to someone in the village about her playing card collection. My wife was asked what her husband did while all this was going on. She replied that I collected penguins, and asked what I did with them, replied, keeps them in the spare room. It then went around the village that I kept penguins up in my bedroom. But why penguin books, I hear you ask? But now cannot really remember. He says he joined the Penguin Collector Society pretty early on. In fact, as soon as he found out about it, and yes, he was indeed member number 46. He says, once I got into serious collecting, I went in for everything, and it took years to assemble a full list of all the various series, and to discover how rare some of them are. Rarest in mint condition easily were the puffin cutouts, which by definition were destroyed immediately after purchase. In fact, I think that the only time I ever saw one of these was in the Lane archive in the Bristol University Library. He said he didn't pay a lot for most of the books in the collection, only a matter of a few pence, which on reflection may have been one of the motives for starting in the first place. Incidentally, I suppose you know that the original retail price of sixpence was arrived at after Allen Lane did a deal with Woolworths, which at the time, 1935, priced everything at that level. Second-hand bookshops inevitably were the source of most of the books. He spent a lot of time in Hay-on-Wye at, I think, the Castle. Well, that's a nice bit of background there, and I've got a bit more on that, which we'll go through later on. But it is really nice to hear a bit about the collection. So Alan is actually still over, living in France. He's not over here, but the collection came over a few years back, and the time was definitely right to move it on. And Alan was very pleased that it was going to me, which was really good because I certainly needed an awful lot of them, which is very nice indeed. Okay, so I've got everything unpacked at last. It's taken the best part of a whole morning. And we'll have a quick overview of what we've got here. Some of the one-offs and rarities, some American hardbacks, some French, a few other bits and pieces. Then we got the numbered series. These are in piles of 100 now, so that's like 1001 to 1100. That's the 1200s, 13, 14 on the end here, 1500s there, 1600s back there. These are the 1400s, 1300s, 1400s. Then we're into the 1700s here, 1800s, 1900s, the 2000s, and the beginning of the 2100s. Of course, I've got up to 3,000 still to come back on the second trip, which will be on Friday. And then in the front room here, we have penguins 501 to 1,000. So this is 501 to 600. And it's the 601 to 700, 701 to 800, 800 to 900, and 901 to 1,000. Absolutely mad. So yeah, as you can see, it's quite a bit of cleaning and sorting to do, but it's fantastic. And if you are a paperback collector, well, this is, let's be honest, heaven. So yeah, I can't wait to pick up the rest on Friday now. So here we are on day 2, and once again we're off to Gloucester services, and I've got my son Sam with me. And God, just look at these delicious pastries. I tell you what, they certainly know how to put on a show. Absolutely phenomenal. Sausage bat this morning, and my co-pilot is son Sam. He's helping me along, doing some extra filming. So Sam was on camera duty today, and thanks again to Rob and Sam for coming along, keeping me company, keeping me awake, and doing a bit of filming. And we tried to capture a little bit of interesting architecture along the way, and we came across a couple of great bridges. And then this is in the storage depot, where Matt was already hard at work sorting stuff out for me. These are some of the Things We See series. And I was going through the Buildings of England as well, which is another series, which I've only got a smattering of, really. I've only got about half a dozen. So to get so many in one hit was, very attractive. And there was like 3 boxes. Now, this is perhaps the finest copy of The Hobbit I've ever seen, and I've seen a few. This is almost fine. I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful condition. Currently up on eBay. So I shall link to Matt's eBay auctions in the description down below, because I'll tell you a bit about that towards the end. But the first 500, that is where they're heading. Now, we got our second trolley full then, so the car's empty at the moment. This is what we're intending to bring back. And the lift mechanism inside the storage container, the storage depot, is a bit like a coal miner's lift of old. You can't ride in it, you can only put your stuff in it. But we knew our limitations this time, and I knew I wasn't overloading the car. And there we are, all pretty much ready to rock and roll. And now it's the next day, and I've managed to empty all the old stuff from the earlier in the week, and I've now got all of that filed away in separate boxes. Some of it's in the studio, some of it's ready to clean, but it's all been sorted and categorized. There's like 100 in each box. And I've now moved all the stuff that I picked up yesterday, which is the balance of the collection, into the house. And once again, I'm starting the process. I've speeded it up again of emptying each box and getting the table full up with all the various goodies. So once again, a few more notes from Alan about the collection. So he's actually read only a tiny proportion of the whole. He just didn't have the time after he'd finished classifying, shelving and indexing them all. He said, before I started what eventually became an all-consuming preoccupation, I had collections of first editions of numerous favourite authors: J.B. Priestley, Graham Greene, Michael Sadleir, Ian Fleming, to mention but a few. Pretty well all of these I had read beforehand. In recent years, my reading has largely been confined to a Kindle anyway. Some of the handbooks proved very useful, especially during our move to France, when I needed to brush up on my decorating and carpentry skills. Eventually being obliged to leave my large house in a very remote part of rural France and move into semi-sheltered accommodation, I had to sell up and close that particular chapter of my life. A bit of a wrench, but inevitably, especially as I'm now older than Joe Biden, about whom there's currently a lot of fuss. Knowing, however, that a substantial part of my life's work is going to a good home cheers me up no end, and I can only hope that you get as much pleasure out of the books as I have. Well, Alan, I think you'll agree, I absolutely love them, and it's a great honour to receive your collection. And here we are. So this was what we brought back with us just yesterday, and the table is once again full up. I've put the second 1,000 of penguins from 2,000 up to 3,200 into piles of 100, and there they all are. Lots and lots that I was missing from this era in Penguins history, but very much delighted to get now. Certainly good to get some puffins as well. So I've brought back the first sort of 400 odd puffins. Many of them I've got, but I'm going to have a handful that I haven't, and hopefully I'll be able to move the others on to other collectors. I'm very, very pleased, as I said, to get that run of the Buildings of England, and I think I'll be able to complete my penguin guides, which was good. More main series stuff. Very pleased to get those. I've got about 3/4 of the phrase books anyway, so once again it'll be nice to complete that run. But yeah, absolutely amazing, astounding, and there's a lot of work ahead of me. As you can see, just awesome in every way. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that first look at this absolutely amazing collection. I've spent most of Saturday sorting out, getting the old stuff processed away from earlier in the week, and making room for this new stuff. So it's going to take me a few weeks to get through this. I mean, you can see how much there is. And before I want to let any of it go, I want to get everything cleaned up systematically. So I have actually already done the first 100 books. So that's Penguins 500 to 600. So they've already been cleaned up, and I'm going to systematically work my way through all those books. I shall then contact collectors who've expressed an interest in picking up some of these for their collection, and I'll send off what I've got. So if you yourself are interested in having any of the spares from this collection, there's going to be quite a few. Obviously, just drop me an email with your wants list, and I'll do my best to fill it out. With regards to the earlier books, so Alan had a fantastic collection right back to number 1. All the slightly more expensive earlier books, Matt, his grandson, has already started listing those on eBay as of this week. So the username is Vintage Penguins, and I shall put a link to Matt's specific auctions in the description down below. So there's some Forces Book Club, there's services editions, and then he's going to start listing the rare crimes. The Hobbit is already up, and it's actually already got a bid of £100. That copy was literally that nice. So check out Matt's auctions, because he's got the first 500 there pretty much ready to rock and roll, and he's going to be letting them find their own value on eBay, which is probably a really good way of doing it. Now, I am hoping to, over the next sort of 6 weeks or so, I reckon it's going to take to process this, get all of this done. Not too far away is a Penguin Collectors Society meeting in September, which is on Friday evening and then mainly Saturday for the majority of the meeting, where there is a collectors meet. So other collectors bring along their spares. So if I've got them sorted by then, I should be bringing along my spares, and we're hoping that Matt will be allowed to go along with the rest of his granddad's collection as well. So that would be fantastic. And then on the Sunday, the very next day after that in Wiltshire, is the very first All You Need Is Books, which is Zardos Books. They're having a vintage paperback fair as well. So it could be a pretty good weekend for book shopping. So once again, I'll put proper details of that in the description down below. Things are only a little bit tentative at the moment. We don't know if we can attend the Penguin Collectors show yet, as we don't know if Matt can actually have a stall, but I'm hoping that they won't mind, because Alan was a collector for a long time, and well, now's the time to sell it on. And definitely I shall be at the Zardoz show, so look out for a few more details on that in the coming weeks. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm probably going to do a follow-up video to this one where I go through some of the choice finds in the collection, some of the gems that I've found within the first couple of thousand books. Might be next week, might be the week after. We'll see how we get on. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.